football's all I've known and it's all I've wanted to do. I got all the faith in Arteta, but he can't change this. Like, he needs to be brought in the right players. Xhaka is Arteta's guy. Sebastian's got the form. You know, we're linked with Partey and all these guys. I think we need a box-to-box midfielder. You know, the adversity, the self-doubt, you know, wondering if this is the space for you. Then you're not really challenging yourself. I think Pepe will come good. How good he will be, I don't know if he'll touch Mo Salah's levels and stuff, but I think he'll be decent. If it's not a Aubameyang digging us out or some individual play, there's not too much. And when I look at this whole Arsenal side, as much as I love us, there's only about 5-6 men that I would put my hat on and say, you lot are my guys next season. When you buy cheap or buy the wrong areas, it becomes expensive because now you have to buy it again. There's been times I've had to get out for work at like 6 a.m. I'm still up at 4 a.m. because I need to watch this game X amount of times and still clip up stuff. It's hard, but it's the love for the thing that gets me through it. So you need to love what you're doing.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Coach Gerald Lami podcast. Myself, Gerald Lami. Today I've got a special episode with the one and only Deluded, my guy from, how long we known each other now? For a couple of years now?
A couple of years now. A couple of years now, my guy, man. I've been waiting for this. Love for having me, my guy.
Anytime, man. Yeah, definitely. We've been saying for a little while that we're gonna do something. So finally, we got something going anyway. But how you been? How you been during this time?
I've been good, man. Obviously, like you're not in. Are you in England at the moment?
No, I'm away at the moment. Yeah.
So it's a bit different, but the laws have been a bit relaxed. You know, you're allowed back in shops and stuff. But yeah, man, I'm doing all right. My family's got their health. You know, I've used this time to like just try and learn new skills, kind of push my content, just do the basics really, and most importantly, just stay healthy, man. Really, like I say.
No, for sure, man. For sure, that's the main thing. I've definitely seen your content, like, you know, starting to do your podcasts and things like that with the young up and coming players. And I think I want to give you a big shout out before we get into all of that as well. Big shout out to yourself, because I remember, again, just going back to when we first met, and it was probably about 4 years ago now. I think we met.
4 years, a hot minute. Maybe even 5.
Maybe 5, maybe pushing 5. So I remember when we first met, it was just like, just that instant connection where I was just like, all right, cool, this is a real one here. And then seeing your progression to where you are now, bro, like, I just want to give you your flowers and just salute you for where you got to. And also, but it's real talk though, bro, because we've been speaking on, you know, like we have our messages and everything like that. But the real talk is there hasn't been no backing. There hasn't been no backing from anyone to get you to the platform where you are now. Do you know what I'm saying? That's all been of your own knowledge, of your own, you know, articulating yourself very well in front of the camera and showing your knowledge. So again, bro, full props to you. And I know you're gonna exceed it as well. I know you're gonna take it to the next level. So 100%. Because I remember that first day. You was like, yeah, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And I was like, you know what? I believe in you. I think you can do it. And you know what I mean? You've taken it.
And then, man, just took it and ran with it.
You've done your thing,
man. I appreciate you saying that, man. Honestly, my guy, man. It means a lot. Like, people see the grind, they don't see like the insecurities, like how hard it takes, questioning it. So it's lovely. It's always nice to hear positive words, especially from someone that I know personally, like can sit back, take off his hat, that the fact that he knows me and just looks at it without, you know, any emotion, and he still's got good things to say. It means a lot, my dude, man.
Nah, 100%, man. Gotta give it where it's due, bro. Gotta give it where it's due. But one thing I wanted to touch on again, like your journey, like in terms of your content. How's that journey been for you in terms of, like you said, there's been times where the backstory, people don't see those things. Like, how's it been for you?
I'd say, do you know what? Yeah, if we go way, way back, I think my story or what I'm trying to do is that I'm in competition with myself every day, and every day I say to myself, like, I look at my progress, and it might not be a madness to no one, but to me, like 21,000 subscribers might as well be 21 million. And I kind of all think to myself, this is like, for a while, I've wanted to do something like this, or just speak about football, or just do something, and I'd always tell myself in my head, nah, like YouTube's not for you. People like you don't do YouTube. You've got to be this. You've got to have that. You've got to have the light. Just every reason under the sun, innit? And then one day, like, I watched, like, you know about Gary Vaynerchuk. I saw a video on him. Like, you see, when you first be put onto someone, I was listening to him, and he was saying, like, follow your passion, follow this, follow that. And that kind of provoked it. And then I looked at my friendship circle, and I was like, you know, I got friends that have businesses that are, you know, high flying in the city, doing all of these other things in all their different things. And I thought to myself, like, what am I going to do? And it was always like football. And I thought, let me just try with YouTube. And then it shocked me, like the amount of people that took with it. And then I realized, you know what, you got to kind of be consistent with it. And it's always the drive. Like I wanted to be a footballer in it. So I've still got that kind of football drive. I thought, you know what, you need to be consistent. I thought, I haven't got the biggest, I have to gain credibility in it. I know football. I know I live for this, but to any other woman or child or male or whatever, they have to. So it's like 3 days a week or every day, let me try and put out a little vid, not just of Arsenal, of what I think about, because every one of my vids has been just general football thoughts. So I'd say that's my journey. I've been through a lot of adversity as well, just in my life, and specific to this, I would say, how do I put it? Like, it's difficult to deal with knockbacks, like without getting anyone in trouble, but there's probably been about 3-4 platforms at various periods that I was meant to have like segments or features or just be on, and it was disheartening seeing it get stuck off. And it is, and you know yourself, like the sort of people we are, like we live for football. We're not on agendas, but that's not what sells. That's not what gets attention. That's like, it's like two men with thousands of people that are doing the ranting and raving. So it's like almost thought to myself, I know what I'm talking about, but it's like, does the world, and to a degree that still plays on me. But I'd say it's really just a push to want to be better. It's the push of knowing that, you know, you ain't really got nothing else, you know, it's this or the graveyard, really truly. Like I don't think I know I can articulate myself, but I mean, I'm not no book smart guy. My dad's not no rich person, so it's like I just got to try a thing somewhere in it. So that's probably where it comes from, my dude, man.
No, that's amazing, bro. That's amazing. And again, like you said, in terms of like the passion, and you definitely got to get a dose of Gary V, boy. I'm not gonna lie. I have moments where I'm just like, I got to shut off away from it and I got to start doing things, innit? Because like he says as well, it's like, if you're watching me, then you're not doing anything. Do you know what I mean? But today, yeah, I just had a little dose of him, and yeah, bro, like to hear him talking things like that, it's definitely inspiration. Like you said, you know, you thought, you know, what's your passion? And football's your passion. But again, where did that come from? Where did the passion for football come from?
For football, it's difficult to pinpoint, but it's like, you know what, primary school, you know, everybody was an Arsenal United fan. You know, Chelsea have come about now. Older cousin, like there's not really when you come from like inner city London, like I'm from North, I'm from Edmonton / Tottenham. Like there's nothing here in it. Like there's you can't really go play archery or tennis. There's a cage, there's some grass patch, there's football in it. So I'd say football's always been that. Like that's where I got the love for football. You know, growing up it was all Thierry Henry and Ronaldinho for me. If it weren't Arsenal, it was Brazil. So it's like, I just always loved football and it stuck with me. Like, obviously, you know, when you start going to secondary school, you start developing different changes. You start doing things. Football stayed with me. Like, I obviously developed other interests. We all wanted to get girls in that. But it's like, football would always be the thing for me. Innit? Like, people would always want to, like, I would always be in the school talking about football. People would always be asking my opinions. And that's maybe subconsciously where I've been planning to do YouTube without me knowing it all along, sort of thing. So I'd say that, man, it's mainly just growing up with football. Football's all I've known, and it's all I've wanted to do. Like I said, we all wanted to be footballers. Like I had in my mind for time I was going to be a footballer. And it's like, even with YouTube, apologies, I'm still like kind of baffled as to what I want to do in that. But I'd say, yeah, it's just always been in man's life. Family, friends, you know, I was always going to the cages and playing ball. You know, you're hanging around in the estate, you're playing ball, playing with the older kids and that. Like, you know yourself, like if you weren't playing football, you're running up to mischief, you know, you play run outs and you might be doing other typical stuff like that. So yeah, man, football just always been with, man, really.
No, for sure. Especially like you said, you know, like inner city London as well. If you weren't playing ball, then you're up to badness, really.
Yeah, badness. Yeah. You know
I mean, but it's interesting the part that you said in terms of like, you know, at school as well, you had like people that will come up to you and ask you for advice, and it's like subconsciously that's probably geared you up to where you are now. Do you feel, again, going back to again where you just mentioned a minute ago, where you know, I feel a bit disheartened where certain platforms might not give you the segment that, you know, they've promised you, or whatever the situation may be? Do you feel like that's just all part of the journey, that it's a building blocks for you, that, you know, the disheartening of not being in these segments, you know, do you feel like that's all part of your journey to lead you to where you are now? Because again, you're saying you don't know where you want to take the YouTube podcast, or, you know, like just the reviews, etc. Like, you don't know where you want to take it to. So again, with a long question, do you feel like that's all part of the journey for you to get to where you are?
I'd say, do you know what? I'd say yes. I'd say yes and no, but I'd say yes. I'd say yes because I feel like I'm a very spiritual person. I'm not necessarily religious, but I believe like there's a higher power. We've all got a calling and these things. And I did feel like, I think to a degree. I don't know what it is, but to work with something in relation to football is mine as it is yours. And I'd say it can become disheartening. I had to learn the game in it. It's like, obviously I was coming into this sort of thing with just my mentality. It's like, obviously when you grow up where we've grown up, we might not be the most book smart or have the most contacts, but you're very good. You're very good at reading people. You've got a street smartness. So I was coming into it with that. But I kind of put it like we're watching Gary Vee kind of says, change yourself, put yourself, like, have your opinion, but see someone else's side. So I was putting what I believe I was to the side. And then I was seeing the same things that I was wary of. I was seeing them. And I said, you know what? All right, cool. Let me go to how I actually was like. I think in relation to the opportunities, it's mad disheartening. Like there's there's I don't want to say on it, but there's one that I was really looking forward to in it. Like it would have been a very good W. They DM'd me, they were getting into me and saying stuff like that. You know, you can't help but imagine what it would look like. And then when it got sucked away, I was disheartened. And then I started to feel about it. Like, I started to think differently. I was like, what's worse that could happen? It's just in the same spot, in it. Like I never got the chance, cool, but it's not like, you know, my family ain't died. I haven't lost any finances. Like I've just lost my time. As much as I hate that, like I've just been promised something and it hasn't gone. And that's no different from life. I mean, you know, we've all got friends or been across people that say things, you know, doing is expensive. It's an expensive currency. Talking is free. Everyone talks in it. Everybody talks. So it's like, it's just learning to air that. But I believe like these chances that were put in front of me and taken, I'm starting to feel like it was, you know, it was a little taste of what could happen. It was a taste of, it was like to keep your imagination going, and then it got sucked to kind of keep the hunger sort of going. And it sounds cliche, but I believe you get there, man. When one thing don't open, the next thing, there is something you'll fall into place. Like I genuinely believe everyone in life is just a quest of making your life make sense. So I definitely feel like it was, to answer your question, it definitely feel like it was disheartening, but it is part of the journey, man. It's never just a straight trajectory, and it doesn't build you, it doesn't change you. I think if you're not going through, you know, the adversity, the self-doubt, you know, wondering if this is the space for you, then you're not really challenging yourself, because, you know, you can only make it sounds cliche, but a diamond's only made with pressure in it. You have a simple swing. And that's it, man. I feel, man, I definitely, that question definitely got me thinking. Now that you said that, I definitely feel that they were putting in, I definitely feel that, man. I definitely feel it was kind of to test me and kind of keep going sort of thing.
No, powerful, man. That what you just said there a minute ago, talk is cheap or talk is free, but doing is expensive. That is powerful, bro.
Mad expensive, bro.
That is powerful. Expensive. No, that's a powerful one, and that's important for people to understand as well, man. It's like it's actually doing these things is the hard part, and you're gonna face these challenges, you're gonna face adversity, but again, like I strongly believe, you know, like your upbringing is the building blocks to your mindset as well. As like, again, I grew up in Hackney, or firstly I grew up in North London, and then we moved to Hackney, etc. London, basically. You grew up in similar environments, and I feel like those building blocks get you ready to where you are now. And it's like sometimes you feel like, why is this not happening for me? Why am I not getting this opportunity and whatnot? But again, it's like, it's timing. I personally believe it's all timing. Like we all have our time. As long as we're doing the work, I think we're all gonna get our time. Do you know what I mean? So again, going back to what you're doing, bro, you're smashing the scene right now. Again, you ain't even had no backing like that, and you just excelled. So only thing I can say is, bro, just keep going, and 100% again, I know you're going to take it to the next level, man.
It means a lot you saying that, man. It's like what you said. It's like when you come from where we've come from, there's no games in it. Like I think people are scared of failure. Like I was scared of failure. Like nobody, I was focused on 50 views. Like I'm nowhere near I want to be. I'm not a major guy in the scene, but I was 50 views for me. As long as it didn't say like 5 on the YouTube thing, I was cool in it. But then I started to think that's dumb, innit? Like people, you've got to be able to fail, innit? I fail every day. I fail with this thing. I make mistakes all the time. It's like you have to get over that fear. And I think that helped me not caring about people's feelings. And enough in that regards. And I also feel when you come from where we come from, you're not doing this as a joke, innit? Like you want to better your reality. You want to better your life. Like we see the fine margins and how easy it is to go left or right or lose it all. So it's like we've got that hunger in us. Like we're just naturally hungry, and it's about challenging that. For me and you, it's football. For the next person, it might be something else. But it's about challenging that hunger and that intention. Like we ain't got games to play.
100%, bro. 100%. So going to your football, where did you play? Did you play at a certain level, or did you play in academies?
No, I wish I played in academies. In relation to trials, I mean, I'm an Arsenal man. I had a Spurs trial. Said they didn't need any right back. It's interesting.
They definitely need one now, though.
Yeah, they definitely need one now. I mean, my services are still there. But apart from like being scouted for them, Millwall, Chelsea once upon a time. In fact, fun story, I sat myself out of the Chelsea trial because I used to watch academy football from back then. And I said, listen, I'm not getting in, like physically, mentally, everything. I'm not getting in. My dad was going to drop me. I said, no, we're not trying to go. But other than that, mainly just grassroots and Eastern Junior Alliance and things like that, man. Really, like, I played for Wolverhampton for a year. That's about it. That's where football deaded off, man.
Okay.
Like, and as good as you, my dude, man.
No. But bro, again, that's I think a lot of people when they hear these stories is like you said, it could have gone left or right. So you go into these trials where you went Tottenham, it could have gone right for you. You would have, who knows? You know what I'm saying? It could have gone anywhere. So I feel like at that time, again, that journey there's loads of people that have gone through your journey right now. That's probably on trials or like you just said, where, you know, they're going to the Chelseas and they're thinking, I can't go in there. Do you feel do you feel something or someone could have spoke to you in terms of thinking about that? You know what, maybe I could get into this club. Is there anything that anyone could have said to you in terms of that? Or do you think that that was it for you, thinking, yeah, I definitely can't get into this team?
No, there was plenty of people that said that to me, like family, friends, like they were all saying, you're an idiot, what was you doing and stuff. But it wasn't a thing of psyching up for me. It's like, for me, I like to weigh up the pros and the cons in it. Like I active like behind in terms of puberty, like I was behind in it. Like I wanted to be a footballer, so I wanted to look at this. I felt if I got signed, they'd have to wait for me like Carl Walker Peters until like 20. Physically, I'll be ready. But it's like me going into there, I knew technically I wouldn't let the thing down, but I wouldn't stand out. So then there wouldn't be a point really signing me, because from there, you know, what's the point signing man that's not glaringly better than what you have in it? So I knew, and this is when Chelsea were really, like Chelsea and City, like I'm 25, so what, 10 years ago is when they were really starting to really bully the academy scene and stuff. So I'm seeing people just physically better, stronger, better than me technically. And for me, football's a mental game, innit? Because they've been in that reality. They're seeing the pictures faster, they're reacting. And I'm about 14 at this stage. There's like 2 years left before they think about scholars. So it was me doing the maths and saying, it's not going to happen here. Now, by that same logic, like that's the sort of person I am. The only thing I'd say on that is you never know what could have happened in it. No matter how much I tried to weigh up the probabilities, football's a funny old game of opinions. That I could have thought I was rubbish and then I'm going in. Like there's plenty of footballers in the Premier League. Like without getting onto Carl Jenkinson, he's not in the Prem. I don't think he's League One standard. But at the end of the day, my opinion don't matter because he's a baller now. And I see it. There's a player now that I used to play football with. He wasn't in no academies, no nothing before. He simply kept going, and now he's at Blackpool. He was at Leyton Orient before. So it's a case of just football's opinion. So maybe, but I like to. I was my own harsh critic. That's why in my videos I say a lot of, you need to work it out yourself. You need to do this, because way before a coach could tell me what I've done right or wrong, like I weren't a know-it-all. I knew in my heart, like that's how my mum's raised me, and it's transpired into football. Like my conscience is a thing. I know when I'm doing right. I know when I'm doing wrong. I know when I could have done better. I know when I haven't tried hard enough. And I feel many people in life, they don't like to answer uncomfortable questions in general, but definitely of themselves, my dude. So yeah, man.
No, that's powerful, man. Powerful, bro. You're dropping gems already, bro. We ain't even fully into this right now. I'm telling you, bro. No, for sure, man. So talk me through the day where you said, you know what? I'm going to get into YouTube. I'm going to use this platform to express my feelings and let people know, you know, my knowledge. Because again, like I said, bro, you're very articulate, the way you break things down. Just talk us through that day where you said, you know what? I'm going for this now.
You know what? I was thinking, like I said, I had the Gary Vee thing in my mind for a while. I was thinking about it. I was like, should I not? It's actually when, I don't remember if it was the same specific day, but it was when Jack Wilshere went on loan to Bournemouth. And I think that same day, Gnabry left in it. And I thought, nah, man, like as you know, I'm a big Wilshere fan. Yeah. And I thought Gnabry could be decent. So I was kind of rattled, in it. So I thought, you know what? Today's the day to try a thing, in it. And I was on my bed. Obviously, I'm holding the camera all weird. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I thought, let me actually try it. As long as 10 people watch this and it doesn't say, it shows double digits, I don't care. That pushed me in it, and I thought, you know what, this is it. Like that was when I done it. And then I remember uploading it. I'm consistently refreshing it. Like for me, and this is why I tell anyone that you can't care about opinions, because I would say what helped me, but it shouldn't have helped me, is like I was thinking, what are my friends gonna say? Because it sounds sad, but we grew up when YouTube was it was seen as sneaky, or like only certain people doing YouTube was like, oh, you're doing YouTube, raw. So it's like, when I had these dumb voices in my head, but really I shouldn't. But what helped me is that what I thought my friends and all the man them would say and stuff, it was actually the complete opposite. They're like, nah, you're good at this. Like, keep it up sort of thing. And I was like, all right, you know what? If they're almost as harsh critics as I am and they're saying to roll with this, let me roll with it and see where I was going. But reality is that shouldn't have been what tipped it in it. I should have done it myself. Like, I shouldn't have had to be kind of edged on. I'm thankful for it, but it's them things. And that's even when it comes to praise now. I try not to look at the praise. Like, I don't get it twisted. I love to know I'm doing a good job, and that's why I do it. But if you watch too much negative stuff and you look at too much praise, you're just gonna allow yourself to flip flop. So I try to stay level-headed. But that day is, I'd say, when Wilshere went on loan and Gnabry, I thought, you know what, this is me. And then it got weird because it's like I uploaded that vid, but I was being half-hearted. Like, I think there's a mad gap in the vids I'm bringing out. Like, I dropped that, then like there's like 2 weeks where I'm not, then there's a week where I'm doing it, and then I'm just doing bare different things. And I'd say a month from that day is when I thought, all right, cool, man. I think Arsenal played PSG in the Champions League. I know, a long time since we were in it, bro. But yeah, fam.
We'll get into that. Oh, man.
That's when I thought, boom, like, from that Champions League group stage when Mustafi just signed, I thought, let me try to be consistent with it. And here today, man, really.
Yeah. No, dope, man. Did you always know that you wanted to basically make content around Arsenal, or was it just like football in general that you wanted to do?
See, that's the thing. Because the major reason I done the YouTube video is what prompted me was Wilshere and Gnabry. But the reason I wanted to do YouTube, because I've got ambitions to be I want to work in football, and you know, YouTube wasn't a thing. Like, I'm just rolling with this because people say I talk about and stuff. I wanted to work in scouting and coaching, and like, you know, it's difficult unless you know someone that you can coach. To get to that level, you need to know people. And I thought, I know ball. I know I have the ability to learn and get better. But it's like, to any coach or scout, what separates me? Because everyone's dashing their CV and stuff. So I thought, maybe if I have a YouTube channel and they can be bothered to click on it, they might watch a video or two and say, oh, he's got a footballing brain. Let's throw him a butt. So it's mainly like, my passion is youth talent. Like, they're my favorite vids. They might not be my most viewed, but like the little interviews I'm doing now, just speaking about players, because I like to see, like, I remember Raheem Sterling, same age as me, playing under 17s World Cup. He's obviously going and do the main thing now. Like, I like to see the development. So for me, it's mainly about young talent. I actually like to talk about football in general. I just happen to be an Arsenal fan, and obviously I love Arsenal. I want to die for my club. So it's everything basically. But I don't really like to be boxed into one thing. And it is a bit silly when your name is the Deluded Gooner, or Deluded Gooner, not the Dirt. But yeah, man, I'd say football is fluid, man. Because when like us, we're not tribal football fans. Like, we're Arsenal men. We can banter our man them and stuff like that. But we're not dying for the club. Like, after a while, we can call a spade a spade. Like, and that's me, innit? Like, I'm not a tribal man like that. So I'd say mainly the youth thing, man.
Okay, and that's interesting as well, because you're quite you're very knowledgeable when it comes to the youth setup, and it's interesting that you chose this path to kind of build a catalog for yourself, and it's really, really important. Would you advise for anyone that's coming into the game that wants to get into like talent ID, scouting, etc., would you advise them to get into the same realm that you're doing, or same pathway that you're doing?
I'd say everyone's pathway is different, but I would say logically it would make sense, because looking at it, without me looking at myself, looking at it, I've went and got my talent ID, and I'm speaking about young players. So logically, it's tying in together. But I'd say follow you, like, in your heart, what you want to do. If you want to be a scout, if you want to be a coach, if you want to do, punditry and stuff. Be open to everything, try everything, because, football is very fluid. If you're a coach and you coach to a decent level, you can do a punditry thing. If you're a pundit, you can do the scouting thing. Even if you're a journalist, like, I know a lot of scouts ask journalists of specific clubs, oh, what's this guy about? Just because he's sitting there and watching it. So I'd say it's important to follow your things. And I'd say you actually have to play on what you've been given. Like, I've been, like, my relatability, I happen to be from ends, I happen to look a certain way and happen to talk a certain way. So people see us as relatability. That's probably why me and you hit it off. You spoke like how I spoke, and all of these sort of things. So I'd say just play on that. I'd say fundamentally, don't be something you're not. Like, there's a difference between learning and developing and faking. I'd say stick to yourself, innit? Don't just do things because you feel it's the in thing. It's like a lot of like I said, I don't like to answer YouTube questions because I'm not YouTube mogul. But it seems like everyone wants to have a YouTube channel just for the sake of having a YouTube channel. And that's great. If you want to have it, or any content or any podcast, make sure you love that, innit? Whether it's football or whatever, because there's going to be times you're not on it. There's going to be times like we all have to work and pay bills and deal with other things. You're going to have to fit around it, and it does test you. It tests you. It takes me to my limit. There's been times I've had to get out for work at like 6 a.m. I'm still up at 4 a.m. because I need to watch this game X amount of times and still clip up stuff and whatnot. And it's hard, but it's the love for the thing that gets me through it. So you need to love what you're doing in anything to do anything.
No, powerful again, bro. Powerful again. And I think, again, it's just like what you said, the powerful message is you got to love what you're doing, because otherwise it's just going to drag on. You're not going to give it your all, and it's just going to end up mediocre. So what you're doing, again, it's just, simple as that, man. And what you're doing is amazing. I think, to be honest with you, I've never really thought about it in that way, where this is basically like a catalogue for yourself. It is like a modern day CV for yourself, where you're showing, clubs, your attributes, your knowledge of the game, and it's powerful, man. But in terms of yourself, where did the love for youth development come from? Where that passion come from?
I'd say for a couple of reasons. Like, I've always liked, do you know what it is? I can't, like, it's like stocks. Like, I wouldn't say I have a passion for stocks, but I've always found I've always found developing something interesting. Like, I've always found it interesting how a stockbroker can get something for £1 and it's now $1 million. Or it's like, when you see places like Singapore and Dubai, like places that 40 years ago didn't look like how they look now. So I've always liked that, and I think it's transpired into football. I've always liked to see potential. So I think it's a mixture of things. I'm an Arsenal fan. Wenger has been here. He loves young players. I wanted to be a footballer. Wenger is a massive coaching viewpoint for me. So I think a lot of it is that. I think because I wanted to be a footballer, so I was watching the academy man my age, or trying to, or what, like, I didn't bunk school, but the only times to bunk school was that. Because I wanted to see, I had to. I wanted to see the competition or see what I'm up against. So the love came from just being so invested in that, like, really, and it just transpired. Like, it's mainly that, man. Like, I just fell into it. Like, I really like to watch academy ball, because you know yourself, when you're growing up, you're trying to get clubs. One of the men there might have been signed, or someone from the ends has been signed, and it's like, oh no, is he a baller? He's not a baller. He's good. He's this. You watch him, he's not a baller. He's this. So I'd say that sort of stuff is really why, man. I've always just been stuck into it, my guy. Like, it's just been what I've been living.
No, for sure. And who's caught your eye at the moment in terms of youth level? What players should we look out for?
I mean, he signed for Dortmund, but I have to big up Jude Bellingham, man. I mean, like, just from seeing him as a 16-year-old in the under-23s for Birmingham into this, I'll go for a different name as well. He's 19. He's playing football now. Yari Vestashin. He's had a decent couple of appearances for Anderlecht. I think he's injured at the moment. I think he's actually made his Belgium debut, but yeah, man, it's like, I don't even, for me with youth talent, like, I see a lot of people who do youth talent or talk about youth football. Everybody proclaims to find the next star and stuff. Me, I like watching people. I like to document. Like, I couldn't care less about being the first person to see Jude Bellingham. I just want to document his journey from a fan's point of view. And I think it is very ironic how, you've seen it yourself. When Green was blowing, I knew everybody was the first to see Green, first to see Sancho. Like, if a blind man could see these men have got talent. Like, for me, it's not. Me, I praise them, but it's about the ones you're missing, because I haven't got no examples to hand. But there's been times I've seen man playing in the Prem or other things. I've done research. I was like, and I look back at my notes. I was like, you played Argentina versus England under 20s. You played, but I never even clocked you was playing. So, like, the development of what could I learn? It's like Highland, like the under 20s World Cup, the latest one, which Highland was there.
He bagged it, though.
Martin was there. Yeah, he banged it. But it's like, for me, if I was a scout, I wouldn't have signed him, because not because he was a bad player. I would have been, let's watch him a bit more at club level. And I would have missed out on 100 million from him and stuff. I would have signed Martinez. I would have missed out on him. And it's stuff like that. It's like, why didn't I pick up on that? Why didn't I believe in him? What are my subconscious and conscious biases preventing me from seeing or enabling me to see? It's just this sort of stuff, man. Like, I just want to be the best at that sort of stuff for myself. So I say that, man.
No, sick. No, that's proper good, man. So in terms of, again, like, England and the development of youth players, do you feel like there's enough support for these young players in England that are coming through, especially, players that are coming from inner city London, in terms of, like, coaches and players? Because, again, when I was growing up and going through the system, I had coaches that never really understood me. I had coaches that wouldn't really check up on you and things like that. I'm sure, obviously, it's changed now, and it's got a lot better in terms of, like, well-being of players and things like that. But in terms of development, do you feel like most of these players are getting support? Because by the age of 16, if they're not cutting it, they're out the window. You're gone. Do you know what I mean? So, and it's like, for them, it's like, where do I go next? Of course, you can drop down, but sometimes you can get stuck there. So again, do you feel like these players are getting enough support in England?
I feel from a tactical point of view, especially like the inner city London kids, they're starting to get spoken to a lot. But when it comes to the release pathway, I feel two ways in it, because to a degree, what more can I expect clubs to do? If you're not cutting it by 16, you're not cutting it in it. That's the belly of the beast. But at the same time, clubs they can do a lot more, don't get me wrong, but they are doing a decent amount, to find if you're not going to get a scholar here, let's try and get you something else. Let's organize some educational classes. I would say it's to and from, because I was never in an academy. I had in my head I was going to be a baller. Like, teachers couldn't tell me nothing. So when you're playing for these academies, you can only, and you've been there from 7 years of age, you can only conceive that. But I would say to these footballers, they truly need to understand, like, you need to make more than one income. If they can look at it like that, like for me, if I could go back in time, or if my son's 13, 14, I'll make it, and I know he's going to be a footballer close, I'm making sure he's media trained so he can evade questions he doesn't want to answer. I'm making sure he understands about branding and things like that, because it's a big thing. There's several things away from it, and it's difficult at 15 thinking about what would you do at 35, but you need to look beyond it. Like, you really need to look beyond what you're doing. And like someone like Bellerin, he gets a lot of stick because he's not playing necessarily the best and all the rest of it. But, he's got a lot of different ventures. I think he's got influencer agency, a couple of other businesses. He's going to be set. In relation to like your question about like helping kids and stuff, I still think in terms of understanding players and what makes them tick, I think there's a lot of work to be done, because I don't feel the coaches are not like, it's all fun and games having these inner city London kids. I keep saying city London, there's many different areas. It's all fun having these kids if you haven't got coaches. They don't necessarily have to look like them, but they have to understand what makes them tick. Because, especially when you come from where we come from and you play in the cages and stuff, you learn to stand up for yourself. If you don't stand up for yourself, regardless of how big or small you are, you're going to get eaten. So it's like they come into it in academy days with that sort of things. They're ready to speak up if they don't feel something. And they're spoken about being bad apples, argumentative. Like, they're not. They just want to stand up for themselves. So it's about recognizing what makes them tick. And they seem to be a bit different, because there's a lot of kids like, when you've got mommy and daddy, and they've not, even if you don't have mommy and daddy, you could be single parents. But if mom and dad have to work to pay these bills, and you've got another mom and dad who's a business owner, they can be a bit more flexible. That kid isn't going to get to isn't able to get there 3-4 times a week, especially if the club can't facilitate anything. Or they take a long train journey. Like, I know there's plenty of footballers that had to jump on the train at 3 o'clock, try to get to training. And then they wonder why these players are tired, why they're different ways, because they're trying to win double now. Because to these other kids, it's cool. If your mommy owns a business, your dad owns a business, you're not a footballer, so what? This is the difference between, we don't need to go into depths, but if you're not a footballer, we've seen the themes. If you're not a footballer, you can typically go another way. And I think it's about understanding these. I don't think they understand their personalities, because you get you get inner city London kids, not to keep saying that, who are very outspoken, and they said they've got a bad attitude. But then you've got the ones that are quite quiet. It's not that they're quiet, it's just they have nothing to say, or they feel nervous. Because even with me in a couple of the interviews, like I've realized that, and it's really helped me seeing them warm up. It's not that they're anti or they don't want to chat to you or nothing. It's foreign to them. They're kind of scared. It's foreign. And it's like they've got the mentality we had in that, like, what is someone trying to get from me? What are you trying to do to me, sort of thing. So I don't think clubs understand these players psychologically. That's why the first thing is always bad attitude. Some people have bad attitude, but it might just be he ticks differently. And I hope with, man management is the thing now. Like, you need to be a good man manager and understand people. I think with that, there might be a change. But until then, we're same mode, man.
No, for sure. I agree with you. Definitely, I agree with you. And in terms of, like, we've seen a lot of ballers come up from up north. There's always been ballers from up north, but now we're seeing more and more and more so coming out. Who do you think's winning it right now, north or south, in terms of the young ballers coming out?
It's got to be north, man. It's got to be north.
Yeah?
It's got to be north. Yeah, man. It's got to be north. Wait, you talking London or like the regions?
Well, the regions, north and south. North and south.
No, if it's the regions, north, they've got it, man. I mean, they stole Sanjo and took him up north, and he went to Germany and that. Yeah. I think them, man. I think if we play the five-a-side, they'll rip us, man. I know we'd probably have to get Callum in there. It's like, when I'm thinking of it, I can't really think of anyone from London at the moment doing their thing. You got Sterling and that, but I think it's up north right now, man.
Yeah, no, I agree.
In London, it's south. Like it's
Yeah.
South.
South are
By
killing it.
landslide. Yeah, and
They've,
then
been- they've,
East. And then,
they've been killing it though for years, South, to be fair.
you're right.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They've been doing it. East definitely. We've had some ballers. We've definitely had some ballers, but I think we've had more so. Nah, I can't. Come on, Beckham's come out from East London, bro. That's like top
Man
of
are
the top,
claiming
fam.
that.
You know, bro, he's come from East
Man,
London, bro.
man are claiming them Chigwell sides and all them.
Where did he come from? Walthamstow or Leighton? No, Leightonstone. He come from
Yeah.
Leightonstone, bro. He's East. So I'm
Trying to
happy.
claim them ones when he's in Manchester from a little kid.
I'm having DB, but yeah, no, it's interesting. Who's your top 5 right now in the UK, like young players? Say
Young players.
under 20s.
Oh, it's a tough one. The ones I'm feeling: Jude Bellingham.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say his name, but Jamal Muslera plays for Bayern Munich. Who else is there? Put me on the spot, man. What age did you say?
Under 20s. Yeah.
Dembele of Celtic.
Mm-hmm.
I like Saka. I got to say Saka.
Come
He's
on.
a guy.
Yeah.
You got to put him. And there's a lad at Chelsea called Webster. He intrigues me. He's a number 8. He's going to be a scholar next year. I wouldn't necessarily say he's up there, but I'm going to put him there because he's someone I think he's one to watch. I like his balance. I like how he dictates the game. I think it might be Charlie Webster. His last name's definitely Webster. He's got curly hair. I'd say them. You could say Amari Forson of Manchester United. He's decent. He used to play for West Ham. Who else is there? Spurs have a couple, man. I like Janil Bennett. I don't know if he's going to get opportunities there, but I'd say him. I'd say them to be fair, man.
Greenwood. Obviously Greenwood's up there.
I can't forget Greenwood. I was trying to air them sort of guys.
Yeah.
Left that level sort of thing. But
yeah,
Greenwood slapped in there without a doubt, bro.
How far do you think he can go?
It's dangerous, but I think the world's his oyster. I think, listen, he could easily follow Wayne Rooney. You know, he could, again, he's 17, 18. I want to be easy, but I see no reason as to if everything patterns why he can't be where Rooney is in terms of Man United records, potentially up there for England. Like it's down to him. It's down to him and God. Hopefully he stays injury free. You know, it's very, I think when you look at Rashford, Martial and him, I think for me, I prefer him the best because I think Martial's a baller. I think Rashford's a baller. But I think when you compare Rashford and Greenwood, I think Rashford always looks like he's reacting to stuff, like playing in a cage. Greenwood looks like he's seen a picture before it's happened and he wants to do things. Like I really like calculated footballers. So I think Greenwood, there's no reason he can't be a flag bearer for Manchester United, a poster boy for England and be up there for records and winning titles and stuff. Like he truly is a baller.
He's dangerous, isn't it? He's just so dangerous, bro. Left foot, right foot. It's like that RVP. He's different natural with it, man. Yeah. Natural is this. When I watch it, I'm just like, this is a baller. Like this is on a different level. Do you know what I mean? But enough talking about them, lot. We need to talk about our boys, yeah? Talk to me. Talk to me. No, you need to talk to me, yeah? Because last night, do you know what? Again, last night, bro, I'm going to keep it 100 with you. I knew it. I just knew it. It's just typical Arsenal, innit? It's typical that we're gonna have these good games and then we're going to let ourselves down with a team that, you know, it's near the bottom. Like, what went wrong, bro? What went right? Yeah, what went right? What went right? Yeah.
What went right? I think, you know what it is, yeah? And this is where we need to learn. Like, if we're going to challenge for top 4, there are going to be bad days at the office, but you need to be at it. It's like, yeah, we beat Liverpool and City in the context. It's great games, but you've got to be at it against Villa. I don't think the boys went out there and thought to themselves, you know, it's Villa where we can be 50%. But I think subconsciously there was some arrogance. There was a sense of there is nothing really for us to play with, kind of disregarding these men are fighting for their lives. I did think a bit of fitness problems as well. We look like we're struggling physically, but I think fundamentally where it came from is a lack of respect for Villa and just assuming we're going to turn up and win. I think first 25 minutes, even more reason to have complacency because we were on top of them. We didn't really create much, and I think this is what highlights Arteta's issue. It's like when we're playing Liverpool and City, and you're on the back foot, they're going to give you spaces because they're an attacking side. They're going to chase the game when they're losing. When you go against Villa, there is every man to the pump, 2 banks of 4, 5-4-1. It was 4-3-3, but 5-4-1 out of possession. Just be difficult to break down. And in games like that, we can't really break down players. Like I'm a big fan of Xhaka, but his skill set is not necessarily to break the lines and get goals and assists. Ceballos is more aligned to that, but he's not necessarily getting in the right positions or doing that to the standard. So I think we struggle to really get any creativity. Like I don't think our front three were amazing, but there was really no service to them. You look at again, and it's another case of individual mistakes. You know, you look at the set piece. It was the build up to that corner between Sabas and Louise. It was a mistake. I don't know what they're doing, but we've let ourselves down. Like you're a coach, so you know more than me. It's like clearly we're doing some sort of zonal marking or some hybrid between man and zonal marking, but I can't understand it. You know, Mings has darted to the far post, and then it falls to who did it fall to? Trezeguet. He's got free hit. Like he's got time to sort his foot out. He could probably order a meal in KFC. It's another poor set piece, and that follows on with Spurs. You know, where Toby scored, and what was it again? Brighton, and that's our Achilles heel. Like, I saw about, I can't remember the exact specific, but roughly something like 45% or something like that of the goals we've conceded is from set pieces. So there's a lot of work on the dressing ground, on the training ground, in the dressing room to be done. I think we shot ourselves in the foot ultimately. Cheap goals, not managing the game. Like Pepe Reina, like he's not the most agile of keepers anymore. He's going against an informal Aubameyang, Eddie, Laka. What saves did he have to make? Like he had a good day. That kick could be taken off a wall next week. Like that kick goalkeeper getting dirty. So it's like what went right, man. Like, don't get it twisted. We should be able to rotate. Like I thought that team that we put out there is good enough to get a result. Like they're square pegs in a couple round holes, but that's good enough to play better. And it's like it's simple consistency levels, man. And it highlights that we got a long way to go. And for me, it shows us that, you know, if any fans were getting gassed off the last two games and allowing false perceptions, I beg you, come back to reality with this one. Like, come back and understand the job. And you're looking at it, bro. It's Arteta. Like, I got all the faith in Arteta, but he can't change this. Like, he needs to be brought in the right players, and he's at the. In terms of off the field, as you can see yourself, he's at the bottom. Like he's just the coach. He's the most disposable. So it's like, what can he change? And it's like when you look at keeping Aubameyang and stuff, Aubameyang might very well feel, you know, Arteta is the guy, we can win stuff. But when you look at the collective culture of the club, the prospect of no European football, we're already suffering financially, so God knows with that. Is there reasons to sign a new contract? Is there reasons to be here? Like it's going to take at least a year or 2 years to even consider thinking about consistently challenging top four. So God knows for league titles and Champions League and all the things we'd like to mention with our team. So
bro, like again, when you spoke about the corner and that, and like our main player, Aubameyang, you can see he's having like, he's laughing and joking with Mings, and Mings just moved away from him and flicked on the ball. So like again, that's what I mean. And it's like you saying that you know, again, well, it's clear to see that you know, our set pieces is our most vulnerable part of our game. Like, and when you got your main player doing that, I think that just speaks volumes of how bad we are when it comes to set piece and that lack of focus and lack of concentration. Like, so I don't know. Again, I can see Arteta, he's trying to do the best that he can, but like you said, he needs the plays, he needs the backing, and he's definitely the bottom of the barrel. He's the head coach. As much as he's coming out and saying, you know, he's got full responsibility or whether full control, I personally don't think that. I think there was a moment where he's talking about Saliba, and he said like Saliba, he earns the right to stay at St. Etienne to play the cup final. And all of a sudden, I heard Saliba's not playing the cup final. So it's like, who's making these decisions? You know what I mean? I understand why the decision was made for Saliba not to play the cup final. Of course, you know, injuries, etc., things like that. But again, for me, I feel we definitely need to strengthen. And in your opinion, what positions do we need? I know we need a lot, but which ones do you think we should target the most right now?
For me, like, it's a tough one because I feel midfield, we'll get onto that, but midfield is as important as defense. But I'm a man, I feel if you're building a house, logically, if you build a house, if you get a permit to build a house, you build the foundations first. There's no point talking about putting Wi-Fi and fancy TVs if the building's not going to stay together, because it's a madness. So centre half, set first and foremost, defenders. Like, I'm not going to be naive. I feel with COVID and Mustafi's form and Luis signing new deal, they're going to stay here. I think Socrates will probably leave. Saliba's coming in. We've just signed Marie. So we probably will only sign, and in addition, another centre-half. But for me, if I could, it'd be two centre-halves. I think two central midfielders as well. I know Torreira looks like he's in. I don't know if Arteta's going to stay with this formation. I don't think he will just persist with a pivot. But if we do go with a midfield pivot, Torreira's the odd one out. Xhaka is Arteta's guy. Sabas has got the form. You know, we're linked with Partey and all these guys. I think we need a box-to-box midfielder. It don't necessarily have to be defensive mid, but box-to-box can put a foot in. Evidently yesterday, someone that can break the line, someone that wants to break the line, someone that wants to be that creative man. So I'd say if I had it, I'd say two centre-backs, two midfielders. If I could and there was money, I might look at bringing in a winger better than what we have, and saying that I'm happy with our wide options, you know. I think Pepe will come good. How good he will be, I don't know if he'll touch Mo Salah's levels and stuff, but I think he'll be decent. You know, you've got Saka playing in a couple of roles. Martinelli's sadly not going to play any part this year, but he's there. You've got Nelson. I think Nelson, you know, I love Nelson, but one more year now after Arteta, I have to see something. But I just feel we ain't got enough. Like, when you look around our side, there's not too many difference makers or people that can dig us out. Like, if it's not Aubameyang digging us out or some individual to play, there's not too much. And when I look at this whole Arsenal side, as much as I love us, there's only about 5-6 men that I would put my hat on and say, you lot are my guys next season. There'll be a couple I'll say you can stay, but unless you're really, I'm a big Torreira fan, so I'll include him, even though I sound like a hypocrite. So there's Torreira, Aubameyang, Tierney, Saka, Martinelli. I feel obviously, I'll say the two keepers as well, because they've both been decent. So there's about 7 men. That's not enough. Like, Ceballos has been decent. You know, there's plenty of reasons to keep Ceballos permanently, but there's plenty of reasons to say, actually, like, because even the party team, we're linked with Partey, people saying that's 40-odd million. Ceballos, we're seeing anything from 30 to 40. You're looking at about 80 on them midfielders. And as much as I want Partey and would like Ceballos, if you play the midfield three of them two and Xhaka, it's not going to be bad. I'll be gassed about it. But what does that midfield stay? It's not really the most dynamic. It's not going to grab mad goals. It's not going to dominate teams in possession. So it's like, I think that's the next task for Arteta. And I feel that's one area I'm looking at midfield specifically, because he used to be that. Like, he's played a couple of midfield. I'm looking at that. Like, and especially if we're going to get rid of Guendouzi, then there must be someone coming in. There must be something. And clearly the club is trying to force Ozil and his agent to do something. Whether that would be, I don't know. But I'd say midfield and defense first, bro.
Well, and again, touching on Ozil, like, why do you think he's not getting any appearances under Arteta at the moment? Because he did get a few at the beginning, and then all of a sudden he's not around no more. Obviously, the same injury and things like that, but you could see when the reporters are asking Arteta questions, like, it's awkward. Like, he's not giving genuine answers. You know what I mean? So why do you think he's not getting any cameos?
I think that one there, I think that's the board now. That's a board, because like you said, there's no coincidence. Like, he was starting and he was playing, like, no agendas. People like agendas, but Ozil was all right since Arteta came. He weren't playing amazing. It seemed like it's like Arteta clocked it. He's like, you know, I'm gonna play Ozil. I'm gonna take him off sometimes. I'll have him on the bench. Like, he clocked what we should be doing with Ozil, and then suddenly he's rubbed him out. So I think that one is to force a change. Like, they're forcing him to change his situation. It's similar to Bale at Madrid. Like, they're trying to force a man to change his situation. It's like, I'm not being funny. Like, I've got a year left. I didn't put a gun to your head for this contract. You gave it to me. And to be fair to the club, you know, in hindsight, it would have probably been best to let Ozil and Alexis walk, but it wouldn't have sent a good message at the time. Ozil's entitled to take this piece, but I think that one there is a decision above him. Because I think as much as you can critique Ozil, and I know a lot of people say if we had Ozil yesterday, he wouldn't have made a difference, or if we had him, he would have. To not have, you know, at this time when we don't have anyone else that can break a line, and you're bringing on, no disrespect to Joe Willock, but I'm struggling to see how he's going to develop into that 10. I can't see anything other, bro, than, you know, that's board decisions, and Arteta's having to fall in line with that one. It could be Arteta thinking, you know, he's not training enough. True say the team's been in okay form. Right now, there's not really a fit for a Cam. But when you hear the way Arteta speaks, he's like, when he's fit, there's always a place for him. There's this and that. You might want to see a reaction, but I think that's a board thing. I think this season, this end of this year, we're really trying to get Ozil's wages off. Because obviously with Aubameyang's contract, it's probably every count sort of thing.
Would you give Aubameyang a new contract?
I would, you know, I would. I know people. I can't fault people who saying they wouldn't, but it's like we're cutting off our nose to spite our face. It's like, and it's a very big if. But if, like you asked me earlier, you sign these centre halves, you sign the midfielders, you pattern up the team, you give Arteta what he wants, then surely having Aubameyang for 2-3 years, however long he's got left in the tank, is going to help you. Like, you've got a 20 league man, whether he's on the wing or up front, ideally up front. We're not going to be able to replace that for the fee we bought him with. Like, you're going to look at, you know yourself, probably would say top strikers are a dying breed. You more have to go ones with scope to be that, and you're taking a risk. Or you shell out them 100-odd millions, like you see with Martinez to Barca. We can't afford that. We're not going to do the starting thing, then you might as well give him a deal, to be fair with you. Even if he's given a deal, this is where we need to learn. We should be having foresight. Say, okay, he's our guy for now. But if something happens to him, or if he keeps it moving, or when he retires, who's stepping up? So if the club is saying Balogun and Eddie and these sort of guys, cool. But I hope we're scouting a striker. I'll give him a deal. we need him. It gives us selling him gives us more problems. Like,
Yeah,
we might be able to get 50 million, or it being nice, but what's that going to do for us in the grand scheme of things? We're just creating more issues for ourselves.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
definitely
it makes no, definitely deserves it as well. Where you break it down like that, he definitely deserves it. Especially like since Arteta's come in and he's had to do that role where he's sometimes he's left back, bro. Like he's chasing back, he's working hard. So and he's never really come out. He hasn't complained or anything like that. He's put his head down and he's worked. So I'll give him that. I'll definitely give him that. He's got on with it. He's never really thrown his toys out the pram or anything like that. So I'll give it to him. In terms of again, I would love to see more down the middle. I think he can be more effective down there. I think he can get us more goals down there. But again, it's that balance between Laka and Aubameyang. I don't think we've ever got that balance right. Do you know what I mean? So and in terms of Eddie, I think he's a good striker to come on for the last maybe 20 minutes. But I think long term, bro, if we're looking to push on, I can't see him being the guy personally, like to give them strikers some sort of looking over their shoulder to see who's behind me, who's coming up next. You know what I mean? I don't feel like he's that guy. Martinelli, on the other hand, he looks dangerous. But is he an out and out striker? I don't know. Is he going to be more of like coming down from the left, cutting in, like, or is he going to be that down the middle play? So again, it's hard, man. So I definitely agree with you. Like, give Aubameyang that contract, but I don't know, bro. I don't know. Like, I can't. Sometimes Aubameyang for me is like when he's on the ball, he's very responsible. Sometimes, like when he's trying to set off the ball, he's just like yesterday was a prime example. He had a few times where the ball's coming to him and he's trying to sit off one time, but it's like it's not ticking for him. Like, so I don't know, but he's definitely, without a doubt, he's probably our best player. Like, without him, I don't know where we'd be. We'd be lower than 10th. So I'm not sure, man.
I don't think Arteta. I don't think there's truly players in this team that Arteta fully rates. Like, I think he rates Aubameyang. Clearly got some concerns about him centrally. I hear what he's saying about balance. He clearly, I can understand, but not understand it. Hold up play. I don't think Aubameyang's hold up play is as bad as people make out. But it's not that's the one thing Lacazette has over him. But with Laka, he's not the quickest, and when he runs out of gas, he's coming off. And I think that's what Arteta wants. He wants that 9 that's going to press and be aggressive, which is why I can't understand the Aubameyang thing. With Aubameyang, it's like, I want him playing through the middle, but I agree with what you said about Eddie. It's like, to be fair to Eddie, his form, he deserves to play, but he's not going to be the guy that can challenge. You're just hoping he's someone that he can rotate, he can come off the bench and do his thing. If he earns his spot, he earns his spot, sort of thing. But for me, that's why I think, as much as I want Aubameyang to stay and I want him to commit a future, I think we need to go out and buy a goal-scoring winger, man, rather than this striker thing. Because if we had more goals in central midfield and more goals from our wide positions, then the bearing wouldn't be there on the striker. Like, it'd just be cream on the crop. It's like, you look around our team consistently, there's not really any goals, really. Like, you're looking at, if it's not Aubameyang for me, then I'm saying Martinelli or Saka. Tierney doesn't score, but he gets in the final third and can do a thing for us. There's not too many players that I have down as threatening teams from in the final third or from deep positions. It's like Pepe's hot and cold. In relation to Pepe, I'm not sure. Like, I think if he was signed for 40 million, he'd be a quality signing. He's never to justify that. I think he'll come, but we just don't have enough. We don't look like we have enough goal scorers collectively for our side, man. So we need a striker regardless.
No, for sure. For sure. And what's your assessment on the recruitment so far?
It's difficult because I don't really. Again, I'm a fan, so again, ironically, it's not for me to know what we're planning to do or how our strategy works. But I'm not really understanding it. It's like you're going for players like Socrates, Luiz, stopgap signings, but then you're finding Martinelli's promoting stackers. That I don't really understand what we're doing. Are we doing this Dortmund thing where then I'll get if they came out and told us we're doing this youngster thing, we're gonna sign a couple experienced man to help them. But I don't get it. It looks like to and from. Last year, I won't lie, summer, I didn't think much of David Luiz, and I still don't, but I could get behind it. I'd say, all right, cool, we needed a centre-half. Credit where due. He's a ball-playing centre-half. You look at Ceballos and Pepe and him, they're all brave on the ball relative to their positions. Pepe, obviously, everyone was happy about Pepe, regardless. He's a deep. We all want to see big signings and things. Ceballos, I did think I'm seeing a bit more from Ceballos now since Arteta's bust him, but I did think on the whole he would be decent. Martinelli, I mean, he shocked people. Everyone could see I didn't know too much about him. And, you know, he's one of the first names on the team sheet. So at the time, I was saying it's a 6, 7 out of 10 window. But on reflection, it's probably about a 5, man. 5 in the sense that we're the best areas. But, you know, like we learned with Socrates, like now with Louise, for all his good form, when you buy cheap or buy the wrong areas, it becomes expensive because now you have to buy it again. Like, I'm sure you remember. We've been here for years as Arsenal fans saying, we need a centre-half. We need a... Only one team is going to keep down the centre-halves and saying that. It don't make no sense to me. So it's like, the recruitment's a bit dodgy, man. I'm really... That's why I'm looking at it, man, because I don't think we're learning from hindsight and applying real foresight. So it's the recruitment now. I'll give it a 5 out of 10 for last summer. The recruitment in the summer to come, anything's to believe. Anything, man. I don't know. I'd like to think we're looking for a centre-half, but you never know. With
knowing us. You know, knowing us, bro.
Mazza, man. We'll probably play Torreira there or something.
No, trust me. Boy, hopefully we see DG up there, up on the board one day.
I don't mind. I ain't got too much stamina or pace, but I'll give the fans some effort, man. Just go easy on me on AFTV or something.
Nah, for sure, bro, for sure. Before we wrap it up, man, what's your prediction for the final? Obviously, we want to win, but it's a cup game, innit? We got to be realistic as well. What you say?
I mean, mentally, I'm not going to lie. When I use my brain, I see Chelsea winning, you know. I see Chelsea purely because I feel with Chelsea, we always give them a game. We always look confident. We always do our thing. But I feel we make too many mistakes against Chelsea. I remember Chelsea at the Emirates, you know, we was all on top of them. Last 25 threw it away. You know, we got a draw at Stamford Bridge when Martinelli looked good. But I think it was either Mustafi. Mustafi made that mistake and Louise had to do a madness. And they're able to exploit that. I definitely feel confident in our abilities. I feel it'd be a close game. But I've got to go with an Arsenal win because it's a final and it's my heart. But my brain is telling me Chelsea's going to win. My brain is telling me Giroud set piece. Like, I'm looking at us from set pieces. Giroud's the man for that. It's written in the stars that he scores. Like, you know, he's going to keep them centre-halves busy. It goes either way, you know. From a fan point of view, I'm saying 2-0 Arsenal. My brain is actually saying we lose to Chelsea somehow, to be fair. But I hope I'm wrong, man. And the brain isn't always correct. I hope I'm wrong, bro. Really hope I'm wrong.
I hope so. But that Giroud, I could just see it as well, boy. I can see him just popping up, header or something. I could see him doing the madness.
And just doing a Mazzolini,
But I hope not, man. I hope not. But, bro, listen, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for, like, just sharing the insight of your journey, like, your knowledge. And again, I'm sure you're going to be going up and up and up. And hopefully one day... No, 100%, bro, 100%. But I've got to give you your credit, man. Like, hopefully one day we'll see you in an academy in Hayland or something like that where, you know, you're bringing through some youngsters, man. So I appreciate that, bro.
Love for that, man. Thanks for having me, man. Anytime, man. We got to do this a couple more times and keep making it a regular thing, my dude, man. Just hit me up.
For sure. Where can people find you as well, bro?
Oh, look, ironically, I did the right thing today. You know, I think they're going to see it's Deluded Gooner 04 and everything, literally, apart from YouTube. You type in Deluded Gooner, you'll find it. So, yeah, man, just Deluded Gooner across all platforms. You'll come across me, man, really.
Perfect. Nice one, my bro. Take care, man.
No worries, my dude. Peace.
Cool.